And Achilles says to Alexander, "You're making my beer curdle." And Alexander says, You make my drink taste like blood. Like, what does that even mean? It's amazing. Hello and welcome to Camp Kaiju Monster Movie Podcast. We're your hosts, Vincent Hannum
and Matt Levine.
And we're talking about all our favorite monster movies, the good, the bad, and the downright campy, and asking if they stand the test of time.
Traditional kaiju, creature features, space invaders, the supernatural, and everything in between. All strange beasts welcome here.
Camp Kaiju is sponsored by Zach Linder and the Zach Pack, powered by Coldwell Banker Realty, your source for real estate, home rehab, fixing and flipping for investor clients and residential buyers. Reach out to the Zach Pack today for real estate services. Follow the Zach Pack on social media and contact the Zach Pack for investment opportunities. Link in the show notes.
It's a new age of combat.
Human beings, genetically engineered to be the best fighters in history.
Two champions.
It isn't over until someone wins.
At war with each other.
Achilles! I have already killed you.
Two invincible men.
Let's finish it, Alexander, here now.
The ultimate killing machines.
I'm gonna get in this thing, and I'm gonna kick your... The battle's over.
Not for me. Robot jocks.
Wow, talk about everything in between. We have a blast of a show coming up. We're all about robot jocks. We have returning guests, Matt.
We do. Yes, thank you to the Shawns. I'll let you introduce them, Vincent, but good to have you guys back. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you!
Love it. That was great. That's exactly what I was expecting.
So I'll let you two actually take it away.
All right. Hey, everybody. It's Shawn Pryor. Once was on the episode where we talked about the book Kaiju Unleashed. I am the author of Kaiju Unleashed. I write books for a living of all kinds. And I'm glad to be back to be back at the camp. I got my bag of marshmallows. I got my s'more maker. Like I'm in a good place right now. So thank you for having me back. Vincent, Matt, it's lovely to be back.
Our supreme pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Welcome.
And now to get out of character here for just a moment. Hello, this is Shawn, also known as the host for Big Mecha, but not huge, podcast where we talk about different mecha-related stuff. And I am thrilled to be here with you guys to go ahead and talk about one of my childhood favorite movies. I'd like to see how it holds up to you guys.
Definitely. And when I wanted to program Robot Jocks, I was so glad that you two wanted to join this. I think this movie seems right up your alley, just based on what I know about you guys and your interests and mechs, but anime and comic books. And I think this movie just kind of hits all those notes. So I'd love to, lean on Shawn Pryor and Shawn Childers to expand upon that kind of stuff.
Vincent, you can lean on me.
So many good sound bites already. I love it.
I didn't know Alexander was in this picture.
Straight from Robot Jocks to Camp Kaiju, Alexander himself. Amazing.
Well, thank you all listeners for hanging out. If you enjoy this nonsense and this craziness we call Camp Kaiju, rate and review us wherever you listen. You can send us listener comments. We have a whole bag full of listener comments, but you could do so at campkaiju@gmail.com, our Instagram at camp_kaiju_podcast. Or if you'd like to even be a featured voice on the show, leave us a voicemail at 612-470-2612. Tell us about your favorite monster movies. Give us your best Alexander impression. Check out our website, campkaijupodcast.com, for more reviews and special content. And you'll find links to our Threadless store and our Patreon, which leads us into, the shouting out the heroes of Camp Kaiju who are our patrons. We have Jason Beast Drool, Shawn Childers, and our anonymous patron, and Peggy and Chris B. Thank you for supporting us. We appreciate it. Listeners out there, we're going to get to production history. We're going to talk about all the ins and outs of the talent in front of the camera, behind the camera, and we're gonna review the movie. But before we get to that, we always have to shout out monster movie history. This month in June, the calendar's stacked.
You know what? This is an amazing list of films, and if I only could choose one, I have to find one that has the best personal story behind it. So that would be Predator 1987.
Ooh.
Okay. So that comes out like spring, summer 87. So like I'm 11 years old. Okay. And I remember like seeing the trailers for it at the movie theater. And as a child, and even still like sometimes as an adult, like I don't really mess with like Alien and Predator. I got a whole story about Alien. That the whole story. Like I literally did not watch that movie for almost 30 years after seeing it at the age of like 6. So that's how bad it traumatized me. But like that creature, the Predator itself, it always freaked me out as a child. And so like when my family went to the theater, I had like one of my cousins with me. We went to go see something else, and they went to go see Predator. You fast forward like a year later, it's on HBO. And I'm like, okay, I'm 12 now. I'm like, I can do this. No, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. When they cut off Apollo Creed's arm, I screamed to high heaven. And I was just like, we're out. It's like, we're out. We can't do this. Can't do this anymore. But like, I probably watched it about 10 years ago. And I was like, wow, this was really, really good. Like I see it in a completely different light now. And so, like there's no more that, that childish fear. Now it's just I never would want to face that thing. So Arnold can do that for me. So that's all right. Go ahead and lather yourself up in mud and scream and hold a torch. I'm good with it. It's so yeah, like it's good. And plus that Predator laugh at the end, before he self-destructs is always just awesome.
Yeah.
Like it spawned so much. Like say what you want about the sequels and like the versus movies with Alien and like all the other directions that the Predator franchise has gone. I mean, Prey is fantastic, and the animated anthology movie that just came out was really good too. So like I think it's starting to make that turn for the better again. Over like the last like 4 or 5 years. But as a child, this movie scared the living bejesus out of me, and like I would not go into the woods. And yeah, if I saw nope, too many trees, nope, gotta go. We gotta go. Gotta get out of here. So yeah, but no, that's my pick.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
Wow. Do you have a favorite out of that particular series?
All the Predator movies, like right now, it's Prey.
Good
choice.
Prey's number one. Now the thing is that like Alien versus Predator, it's not that it's a good movie because it really isn't, but like Sanaa Lathan as the female, as the lead, she's awesome. She's awesome. And I'm like, why didn't y'all give her something else on top of after that? And like, no, she doesn't need anything. No, she's fine. And I'm like, no, give her another movie. Have her team up with the Predator and they can go wreck shop or something. Nope, not doing that. And so, because besides that, the movie's not that good. But but like the Predator and Sanaa Lathan are like the best things about that movie as a whole. But yeah, like Prey just really, man, it's so good, and it's like frightening, and like all all the best ways possible. And like, and like, I don't care for gore, but man, when they go in, they go in. And I'm just like, okay, we survived. We survived. So yeah, that's my favorite. What about you, Sean?
Man, if it wasn't for Prey, I would probably say Predator 2.
Yeah, yeah,
Predator 2, like, it got a lot of crap back in the day. No,
yeah,
that movie is fantastic. I finally did a rewatch of, well, no, a watch in general of all the Predator movies because I had only seen the first one.
yeah.
This is going to sound blasphemous, but I hate the first one.
Hmm.
But once I started with 2 and then moved my way forward, man, I love 2. But then Prey just beat that out of the water.
Yeah. Anytime you can get Danny Glover fighting aliens, which is something that, back then it was just like out of all the people they could have got for this movie, it was like, hey man, Danny Glover isn't a Lethal Weapon. That's like one of the hottest things going out. We could put him in this and bring Gary Busey with him too. And set it in the future, but it's not really the future, but it is the future. Oh, there's Bill Paxton. And like there are so many things it does well, but man, when it hits those stereotypes with them gangs, with those Jamaican gangs, bro, man, I laugh at it now. I laugh heartily, but like because it's like, okay, first it's a street crime movie, Predator's taking out like the Jamaican drug gangs, and then it's like, oh, okay, we have to stop this alien menace. But then it gets like really, really good. It's really, and that's where we got the whole, the alien head trophy.
Mm-hmm.
Which sparked like, how many decades of freaking fandom freaking out over that.
Oh
You-
yeah.
Plus you got like the deleted footage on the Blu-ray or DVD of Danny Glover dancing with a bunch of predators. So
That is an
you can't go wrong
amazing
with that.
scene.
You can't go wrong with that.
Whoa, I have to check that out.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
really cool.
Wow,
Um,
that's
if
great.
you don't mind, I was gonna mention Gremlins off of this list because it was a toss between Ghostbusters, Gremlins, or Poltergeist.
Mhm.
Gremlins for me was a holiday classic back in the day, and it still is, but I've managed to move on to other holiday classics. Not Thanksgiving, because that movie's, we're not talking about that. But with regards to Gremlins itself, I love that movie. And when it came to watching Gremlins 2 on public television back in the day, it was very hard to find. They were trying to air it, and then whenever you see in the newspapers, like, oh, here's your TV listings, couldn't find it. Gremlins you can find anywhere. TNT all day, every day, along with Lord of the Rings for whatever reason. But anyways, Gremlins 2, the reason why I have this specific memory tied to Gremlins itself, I was supposed to be watching Gremlins 2. It was on WB one day back in the day, CW now. And instead of it playing Gremlins 2, I ended up watching a really low budget horror movie by accident. My mom was doing something off in the background, and this guy is a janitor, and he ends up taking some high school person, and kills them by putting them into the copier machine. It's just wailing on them like, this isn't Gremlins. I don't know why.
What was it?
I don't remember. I do not know.
The mystery.
But it was a really low budget horror movie that now I associate with Gremlins from here on out until the end of time because of that. So
That does kind of sound like a scene that you would see in Gremlins 2, the new batch. Like, I would not be surprised if the Gremlins killed somebody by putting them through a copier in that movie. That's not too far-fetched,
oh yeah.
That's it.
Like it could be comical, but no, it definitely was not trying to play comic.
Wow. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Listeners out there, if you know what Shawn, aka Alexander, is talking about, let us know. I gotta know.
You are dead in here.
You too be. Matt, what do you got to shout out?
There are so many good movies on this list. It's very hard to choose, including several movies that we've talked about in the podcast, like King Kong versus Godzilla and Wolf. I think the one that I'm going to shout out, though, is Splice from 2009. That's a very underrated Canadian horror movie directed by Vincenzo Natali, who also made Cube, another underrated horror movie. But Splice is great. It's definitely a monster movie. As the name implies, it's very much about genetic engineering and kind of giving birth to a creature and then, like Adrian Brody and Sarah Polly are in it, and they play like the parents to this creature, and like there's some sort of incestuous themes. It's really dark, and it has this great like human element that I think the best horror movies have. So if you haven't seen Splice, check it out. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I saw it years ago, and there are some moments that are seared into my memory, for sure.
Yeah, some rough parts of that movie, but in the best possible way.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
So two things about that movie. I finally saw that movie for the first time last year, and that movie's absolutely fantastic, even as dark as it goes. But the reason why I was drawn to it was because of the cover art, because the monster's face looks like Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'm kind of digging her right now. Why not? So jumped right into it. I was satisfied.
All right.
Oh, unintended connection, but yeah, indeed.
Adrian Brody, Predators. Quick shout out there.
Yes.
But my movie is from 1957. It's called The Monster That Challenged the World. Have you guys seen it?
Mm-mm.
Never seen this one.
It is something I came across like a bargain bin DVD, but I put it on and I was blown away. It's about like a mutated mollusk that comes up out of the ocean and eats people, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But what sets it apart for me from other 1950s B movies is that the special effects are really gross and gnarly in a way that reminded me of more like 80s special effects monster movies. And seeing this in the 50s, it's black and white, it's shoestring, but they go for it. I'm like, wow, this is gnarly.
I'm
And
intrigued.
I don't often see monster movies from the 50s that go hard with their gruesome special effects. So would recommend.
Kind of sounds like the end of Fiend Without a Face, splattering brains all over the place.
Holy cow.
Yeah. It's you'll be thinking about it long after it ends.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I still can't believe all the movies on this list that came out in June. Like so many. Holy cow. The Legend of Boggy Creek. Holy crap.
Yeah, I've got that DVD.
Oh man.
Did you buy it in Kissimmee?
I ordered it. I was living in Kissimmee when I bought it, but
Okay.
Nice.
yeah, I'll share with you guys. There's a horror almanac website that me and Matt use to find these month by month, histories. And it's not just releases, it's, deaths and births and other milestones in horror history. Just goes by month by month. So it's a really neat resource.
That's awesome.
Do you remember the name of that website offhand, Vincent?
Yeah, it is, because I have it tabbed. It is horrorsociety.com.
Nice. That's a society I want to live in.
No, we're going to live in a post-apocalyptic society where war and Alaska is determined by single-handed mecha combat.
Sounds like an anime I watched.
Doesn't it?
It does. Specifically one called G Gundam, but it's basically where all these different nations, they live in space colonies and then they end up fighting each other for, resources and who gets to control pretty much all the other nations. So, yeah, they borrowed from that heavily.
Oh yeah. It leans heavy into Gundam for sure. For sure. And the thing is, when I saw this when I was a kid, like Gundam wasn't accessible. Like, like stuff like Robotech was more accessible. Transformers was more accessible, but like this film though, man, like I tell you, when I was 14, I saw it on HBO because it was one of those like HBO you've never seen this before type movies, right? Because that was one of HBO's things like around 1990, like late 89, early 90, they started being like, well, hey, how can we differentiate ourselves from the other like cable stations and like pay cable stations and whatnot? And they're like, well, how about if we just start showing movies that nobody's ever seen before and just calling it, putting something snazzy over top of it. So like, that's how you get to see Robot Jocks on HBO. That's how you get to see Darkman 3.
Oh my God.
And all these other things before like they really started making like original films and like original series outside Dream On. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but this was their way to like, pad up the, schedule. But the thing is that like, man, like I love that film as a child, and and like it hits a little bit harder now that I'm older. But like the thing is, if this movie would have came out when it was originally supposed to come out, should have came out around the same time RoboCop came out.
Mm-hmm.
I think that like that delay truly hurt that movie from ever doing anything in the box office. Because when you look at RoboCop and you look at the special effects, especially with the stop motion stuff with ED 209, like they're doing the same thing in Robot Jocks with less money.
Yeah.
And then they'll still also have people in the actual mech suit doing stuff too. And so like and like all the green screen, blue screen stuff, for the most part, with the exception of maybe two or three effects, it's all clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like the opening scene in Robot Jocks, like it's very James Cameron-ish as far as we've got $10. How can I make this look frightening?
Yeah.
Like go look at the original Terminator film, man. Like go, if you go look at that, like that's what I think of as soon as it gets to that opening scene in Robot Jocks. I'm like, and as a kid, once again, I wasn't thinking about it, but watching it last night, like in high definition, I was like, well, I'll be damned. This is actually really impressive for $5.
Yeah.
Looks great. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I gotta give Stuart Gordon his props, man, because like he really did something with this one. Like, yeah, does it have its flaws? Yeah, we'll talk about those. But man, this film is really close to my heart.
And those HBO screenings probably are like a big reason this became like a cult movie years down the road, like
Yes.
people, like young people, like just stumbling upon this movie being like, oh, why does nobody know about this? More people should see this movie. I feel like that directly led to this movie's kind of like belated cult following,
Oh yeah, most definitely.
That's exactly how I got my copy back in the day, where once it was on a video on demand or HBO, just pop it in the VCR, just hit record and wait for it to end.
Yep.
I love that.
Yes.
The good old days.
Our distinguished guests, feel free to elaborate more on your personal histories with this film, but I think we can go ahead and talk about that. The last quick thing I'll just say for, Camp Kaiju stuff is that our next episode will be The Company of Wolves from 1984. Matt, this is your pick if you want to talk a little bit about it.
I've never seen it, and I don't really know very much about it. So I don't have much to say, but it's very well reviewed. It's directed by Neil Jordan. From what I've read, the little bit that I've read, it's kind of like a surreal coming-of-age story mixed with a lot of like gothic horror. So I'm excited. Beyond that, though, I don't know what to expect, so we'll see. That's been kind of hit or miss when I brought movies to the podcast that I've never seen before, so crossing my fingers and hoping for the best. We'll see what happens.
I love that, mystery box element to it.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's pretty good. And then after that, in July, we'll have a traditional Kaiju feature, TBD. Matt, you and I got to put our heads together on that. Maybe our patrons will be able to vote, so stay tuned for you all out there. And then me and Matt are going to announce the next 6 months worth of episodes here on Camp Kaiju. So listeners, guests, Matt, stay tuned. We'll have some good things, no doubt.
I will be tuning in.
A new motion picture will transform the summer of 1986 into an incredible adventure. Transformers, the movie. An epic story of good versus evil. This spectacular animated adventure stars Orson Welles as Unicron, Leonard Nimoy as Galvatron, Robert Stack as Ultra Magnus, Judd Nelson as Hot Rod, and Eric Idle as the Junkion warrior Wreck-Gar. Summer of 1986, the most exciting adventure in the universe is on planet Earth. Transformers, the movie. Coming this summer to a theater near you.
In the year 2035, a corporate power will rule our nation with terror. Using a secret army of synthetic humans, they will destroy all who oppose them. But a small outpost of rebels will fight their killing machines. By reviving a weapon from their past, they will wage the final battle for our future. Crash and burn.
The makers of Robot Jocks take you to a future where super robots keep the peace.
Well, General, you're getting a ringside seat here.
But beneath the technology lies a plot
The Eastern Alliance is on our side.
to turn its machines
Come on, what would somebody be hiding under a ghost town? How about a huge cache of weapons?
The whole damn robot's intact!
into engines of destruction.
Captain Wally has commandeered the robots.
I learned a whole 9 robot yards.
Strap in, Stumpy!
The robot wars have begun. Robot Wars, the next exciting story from the producers of Robot Jocks.
Okay, so personal histories with Robot Jocks.
Mine's going to be really brief. I did not really know anything about this movie till I watched it last night for the podcast, and I consider myself a Stuart Gordon fan. I like Reanimator a lot. From Beyond, I think it's called, his second movie. I like that one a lot too, but somehow, yeah, this one passed me by. I was not aware of this movie at all, and I was delightfully surprised. I'll just say that for now.
Nice. I first came across this movie 3 years ago. I was in Hot Comics, a comic book store in Minneapolis, and it was free comic book day. And so I got my comic books, but then I saw off to the side by the cash register was a little shelf of used B movies, right? And I picked up one. It was not Robot Jocks. It was another Charles Band movie, Robot Wars. And I picked it up just based on the premise alone. But it's free comic book day, so the shop is packed, and I love everyone. Nerds are the best people, and I had somebody see what I picked up, and they shouted across the room. They laser honed in on what I was buying, and they said, "Watch Robot Jocks." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna remember that one." And of course I went home and found it online, and I'm not gonna bury the lead. I fell in love with it. I hadn't seen it since then though, so it was a really nice rewatch. But I will say though, as a teacher, whenever I've had really quiet classes. Maybe it's towards the end of the school year and we're not really doing a whole lot anyways. I will start robot jocks for my students, especially if I know they're into like Transformers or, similar things. And every time we only get like 20 minutes into it, but every time they're hooked and they're like, what the hell is this? I'm like, isn't it great?
Damn right.
Oh man. See, man, I'd love to have been a student in your class. You rolling the TV cart. Like, oh, it's on now. Here we go. What we watching?
What is this ancient art form that you have brought into us? I'm like, it's called stop motion. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Infinitely better than CGI.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. CGI has dropped off so much and from so many movies over like the last like 15 years, man. It's
3. Excuse me.
Well, that's the thing. It's the drop off in quality. They can do it so I'm saying like I'm an expert, but from my armchair, they can make it so quickly and affordably that you can kind of see the proof in the pudding.
Oh yeah. Between that and like a lot of special effects houses really literally being run out of business, for being like lowballed and then asking for a lot in a short period of time. Asking a lot of these special effects studios in the for a lot of things in a short period of time. That's also been a major problem too. That's why like, practical effects work, y'all. Like there's nothing wrong with getting your hands dirty. And that's how I feel about this film is like, it really feels that like, Stuart Gordon and everybody involved in the film, they got their hands dirty, whether it be like Ron Cobb. And see, once again, now that I'm older and I see these names, they mean something. Okay. And because I used to have an Art of Ron Cobb book, and I was like, I did not know he drew all this cool stuff. I did not know that he did so many conceptual artwork for like so many movies. And like, cause that's something that I'm just really big into is conceptual art. And so I'm like, oh wow, Ron Cobb. I was like, well, that's really cool. And as a kid, I didn't know who Charles Band was. Now that I'm older, I'm like, oh man, this is the king of the B movies. Like the thing is like, I know him from Full Moon Entertainment. Like that's where I know the name from now. Especially like there was a comic book publisher I once was working for, and probably about a decade ago, they inked a deal with Full Moon to do comic books for Puppet Master and a couple other movies, a couple other franchises. They did that for like about 2 years. But like, man, it just when I was a kid, when this came on, like I did not move. Like this movie was everything to me because I was just like, okay, I'm getting mecha. I'm getting like, I'm getting like these really cool characters. I don't care if the budget's low. I'm not paying attention to that. I'm 14. And like, it was everything to me. And the thing for me is that it was a movie that like nobody else in the house understood because it was at my grandma's house. Okay. It was at my grandma's house. So when Robot Jocks came on, everybody left. So it's like, oh yeah, I was like, I get the living room to myself. Oh man, this is wonderful. Okay, great. Let me get some popcorn. Oh, this is great. This is great. Oh, that boy watching Robot Jocks again. Oh. And so, so like those are the memories that really like pull me back in every time I think about it. But like, I think one of the other things, because I don't want to hog up all the time, one of the other things about the film, besides like Gary Graham being awesome and like Gary Graham plays Gary Graham in every single film he's ever in. And I love that man for that. Absolutely love that man for that. He's great. But like Anne Marie Johnson as Athena, like it's an interesting casting decision. And here's why. Like Anne Marie Johnson, in my personal opinion, should have been a movie star, a big movie star. Like she started off in like when I was a kid, Robert Townsend used to have these comedy specials on HBO. And so like all the comedy specials would have like sketches in them, like skits, and she would be in them. Okay. That's where I first saw her. So then I fast forward like 5-6 years later, I'm like, Robot Jocks, what's she doing in this? I'm like, I didn't know she's going to do action and science fiction. I was like, well, this is cool. And, she does a really good job. And then I see her a couple years later, like the last like 2 seasons of In Living Color. And that's really like, and she's done some other things, but I'm just like, she had the look. She did actually have legitimate acting chops. And, it's just, she just got overlooked. And so like when I watch Robot Jocks, I'm like, man, we could have had so much cool stuff, with Achilles and Athena. We could have had other movies, sequels, because it's not like this stuff was expensive, but like we got what we got. And, so I'm thankful that we at least got this.
That's an interesting point about legacy, but more importantly about Anne Marie Johnson. Yeah, I think her screen presence is dynamite in this movie. And she and Gary Graham play really well off of each other too. They have great chemistry. Yeah. Yeah. Good cast all around. Okay, well, let's talk about some of the cast and crew. Direction and story is by Stuart Gordon, we mentioned a little bit earlier. I would say a cult genre director, big into horror especially, but he's known for a couple of he has a few H.P. Lovecraft adaptations, but the big ones are Reanimator from 1985 and From Beyond from 86. And these were both produced by Empire Pictures, as is Robot Jocks. But what I love is that this dude, Stuart Gordon, I was watching Honey, I Shrunk the Kids recently, and you cannot be how surprised I was when I saw Stuart Gordon's name in the credits after that movie, or even in the pre-credits. I was like, no, the Stuart Gordon, amazing. He wrote that film, he co-created it, and he executive produced the sequel, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, with Disney. This guy knows what he's doing, and I love it. He knows genre filmmaking so well.
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids traumatized me as a child. I just want to throw that out there because, like, there's some horror elements to that movie, and like the giant ants and like the giant bees and everything. Like, I had to be like carried out of the theater screaming the first time I saw that movie, and I largely blame Stuart Gordon for that. So thank you, Stuart Gordon.
Oh man, I tell you what, Generation X has just been traumatized their entire damn lives. Let me.
You have The Predator, and then you have Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It's a no-win situation. No, but I get you, Matt. And I've seen Reanimator, and I've seen obviously the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids series. But there's horror elements, there's action, but there's also a lot of heart in these movies too, and I think in Robot Jocks as well. And I think I always look for that as an audience member, as an artist. That makes me care about it long after the initial viewing. But yeah. Stuart Gordon directed and came up with the story, but he was not alone in co-writing the film. Science fiction author Joe Haldeman also came on board.
And I know of the name, like, and I know of, like, it's not that Haldeman and Gordon had beef with each other. It's just that they had different visions of what the movie should be.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know, like, Haldeman was pissed because, like, this is supposed to be a movie for adults that you can take kids to. And like Gordon's like, no, this is a movie for kids that adults can also watch. And
it's very evident in this movie.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Like when Athena and Achilles start fighting each other, in Achilles' place after he's been sedated. And they fall on the bed, and he falls on top of her, and she's like, he's like, what do you think I came back here for? And like tries to give her a kiss, and she bites his lip. I was like, oh, yep, this is not for the kids right here. This is not
so chaste at the same time. Like,
yes.
they avoid the cliche romance that you'd expect.
Well, except for right at the very end when he manages to lift her out, and then they ended up kissing each other again for no real random reason, just because.
Like there wasn't enough time to expand on this relationship, if you can call it a relationship, because it wasn't really a relationship. It was like he came back because like Achilles came back because he didn't want to see Athena get hurt.
Mm.
That's absolutely fine. Is it really truly fully explained? No, not really. But like you get it. Like, and this is the way the film's supposed to be, because once again, it's a film made for kids that adults can watch. And so it's like, we're not going to fully elaborate on it. We're just going to be like, hey, because Achilles takes his coat because when he goes to see his family, he goes to see his relatives, and he sees that Athena's going to be piloting the mech, and he just grabs his coat and he just bolts back. And so like, he's doing that for her, and she's thinking, oh, he just wants a spot back, and he doesn't want me to be successful. So, that's how Athena feels about it. So yeah, man, but yeah, like, yeah, the whole conflict between Haldeman and Gordon, honestly, I think it made for a better movie because Gordon made the movie he wanted to make.
Mm-hmm.
He made the movie that he wanted to make, and so it was worth it.
I would have been interested to see what the full vision of either of them separately would have been like, because it feels like that they didn't really expound upon the idea of what they really wanted for the whole, post World War aspect to it, where it's like, yeah, are dwindling on these resources, but we need to make sure that everyone is repopulating the Earth, even though the resources are dwindling. And there's just a bunch of other different things that seem to go against itself that just, upon this rewatch, it didn't make sense, but you're kind of just told to go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read that Haldeman was like the only member of the crew that actually was a soldier. He fought in Vietnam, I believe. So he wanted to make a movie kind of about that, like a soldier's experience and like war in a dystopian future. And of course, everybody else is like, no, this isn't a war movie. This is a kid's movie. But yeah, Shawn Childers, to your point, I kind of would like to see that version as well. But the version that exists is insanely fun. Like I also want this version too, I want them both to exist, which is impossible, but
I'm interested in exploring Haldeman. He's best known for the novel The Forever War, about his experiences in Vietnam. The producers of Robot Jox. So I was like, oh, hold up. There are two bands. We have executive producer Charles Band, whom we've talked about. But this movie was actually produced by Albert Band, his father. And I just love connecting these genre films to old classic Hollywood. So Albert Band began his career at Warner Brothers in the 1940s. He directed The Asphalt Jungle, directed by John Huston, and with Huston co-wrote The Red Badge of Courage, which Huston also directed. So there's a legitimate, background there, legitimate quote unquote. But Albert Band obviously worked with his son Charles a whole heck of a lot with Empire Pictures. Charles Band founded the studio in 1983. I love this factoid that I read. At its height, Empire would release 2 films a month, one theatrically, one for video. And Empire Pictures was new to me, but not these movies. Ghoulies, Reanimator, Troll, a whole list of others. After Empire folded in 1988, Band then formed Full Moon Features, maybe best known for the Puppet Master series. I'm sure other people have lots of other favorite films, but Puppet Master stood out to me in the catalog.
Yeah, when y'all shared the notes with us, when I saw that, and you talked about a moment ago, Empire will release 2 films a month, one in the theaters and one for home video. Like, you got to think about it, at a time like that, like it was risky to do, but the movie budgets were so low that it's this whole thing of, okay, if this film doesn't hit in the movie theater, okay, hopefully people rent this movie enough, this movie that we just put out enough to make up for the money that we lost. Because way back when they had, like these video retailers had to pay absorbent amounts of money for one VHS tape. It could be anywhere from like 30 to like $100 something because they were renting, the movies. And so and that's how the movie rental places recouped. They just kept renting that same movie out as many times as they could. So they recouped the cost. But that was a really smart method, man. Like, I gotta give it to them. Like, it didn't last long enough, unfortunately, but that's pretty genius.
Mm-hmm. And I just love that Charles Band and Full Moon and Empire, they're carrying the baton that William Castle and Roger Corman and many others before them kind of picked up, or like laid down is what I should say. But proud makers of B movies, where it's not necessarily about prestige and high quality films, but it's about entertainment, creativity, putting product out there, and good and bad, concepts of good and bad taste go out the window with guys like that. And I just love that the Band family carried on that torch,
Yeah, and you're able to see in so many of these movies, we'll use Robot Jox as an example. It had a $7 million budget, which isn't anything. And yet I love seeing creators and artists forced to get creative with their limited resources. And I think that can lead to creative choices. And put another way, not the safe choice, but not the safe choice can lead to the more interesting choice, and the really making sure, hey guys, we got to get this right because we're taking a swing here. So let's put everything we got to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you think was behind the choice of Tex doing exactly what he did to kill the doctor? Because that whole take the hat and then just lightly bat his gun away.
That was that
That's great.
yeah. I mean, that was a little, can we try a few other choices maybe? Can we think of other creative ways? But someone said, hey, keep it simple. Knock the gun out of the way and just do it. Just move on with it.
We're down to our last roll of film.
Yeah.
So make it quick, make it brief. All right, Yosemite Sam. It takes that swing, So yeah, I'm asked.
Yeah.
Perfect. Print it.
That had to be laugh out loud.
Oh yeah.
The cinematography is by Mac Ahlberg, a Swedish cinematographer who moved to Hollywood in the 70s. He was a frequent collaborator with Stuart Gordon on Reanimator, From Beyond, and Dolls. And I don't know what you guys think, but I think his cinematography on Robot Jocks, I was kind of blown away. It's beautiful, like just very bright colors, and the special effects obviously play a big role in that as well. But really good work by this Swedish cinematographer I'd never heard of before.
Yeah, that's why I included him. I thought there was an aura, like a soft, warm light around so many of the characters that just I don't know. I can't explain why I liked it, but it felt good. It just made this movie feel even cozier.
It's like they were trying to go for a B.5 rather than just straight B.
Yeah.
Right. B+, yeah.
Any cinematographer that can see their cast in shiny silver suits, and like running around trying to climb up a metal maze to get to the top, and one, not laugh at it, and two, film it in a way that makes you take it seriously. I have to give you props. Like I have to legitimately give you props. Seriously, like
no, you're absolutely right. I think everyone takes this movie very seriously. It doesn't make fun of itself.
No, it doesn't,
which is huge. And it adds to the longevity of this movie as a rewatchable film.
Yeah.
Can I read about the robots?
Yes, please.
Okay, robots designed by the homie Ron Cobb. Ron Cobb is a cartoonist and concept artist, contributed to movies like Star Wars, Alien, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Conan the Barbarian, Back to the Future, The Abyss. The man is an incredible artist. Like when I think about conceptual artists, I think about like Ralph McQuarrie, Ron Cobb, Sid Mead, who's another fantastic conceptual artist. Like I think of cats like that, like Doug Chiang. There's like they bring so much to the table before the film is even like a spool of film is used. They bring so much energy with their creativity and like their artistic styles. And like Ron Cobb was a reason why I wanted to draw as a child.
I love that. That's awesome.
You know what I mean? It was anime, cartoons, Ron Cobb. Wow. And so he designed some of those Star Wars monsters. And the reason why I know that is because, Lucasfilm used to do all those documentaries about their own movies and showed you, hey, this is how we make this stuff. So maybe you can make it too. And so those types of things always started to make me look at looking at the credits as a kid, concept designer, concept art, and things like that, And so it's such a major piece of the film, and none of that artwork is ever on screen, but it is translated because, but it's translated to the screen in so many different ways. But so yeah, Ron Cobb's just amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you like? I'm sorry to say I don't know exactly. Like, do you the specific sort of like features of the mech suits? Like we talked before about like the saw that comes out of like the penis
The
area.
crotchal region.
Yes.
Yeah, the groin region exactly. Do you know what Ron Cobb contributed to that? Did he play a role in like the concept of like that artwork? I'm sorry to say I don't know.
No, I think Ron Cobb did like a majority of like the basics for Achilles. If I recall correctly, he did a majority of designs for both mechs, but like focused more on the Achilles mech, especially with the fact that like the Achilles mech is really a 3-in-1. You know, it's a roller, it's also a spaceship, and it's also a mech. It's also a regular standard mech. So like I think like if I recall correctly, he's really influential in the design of that one for sure. You know, Ron Cobb definitely designed that spider mech. He definitely designed that because like that screams Ron Cobb. Okay?
Was he part of Wild Wild West at all?
We won't talk about that, and I don't think he would. You know, we won't talk about no. God. Makes my stomach hurt thinking about that. Anywho. But like no, like even though like Ron Cobb's drawings didn't make the screen, they literally brought that to life. And like and they made it look easy.
Yeah. I love that.
I do have to wonder their idea as to why they wanted to go ahead and just go up in space, but I think when we get into random stuff later on.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've got thoughts about that too. Yeah. So Ron Cobb's drawings then were brought to life through stop motion by David W. Allen. Another, long list of noted films. The first of which being Equinox, which Matt and I have talked about on this show from 1970. But other maybe more well-known films, The Howling, the Twilight Zone movie, Young Sherlock Holmes, which he earned an Oscar for, or an Oscar nomination for. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, speaking of. So he had a long association with Charles Band, David W. Allen, and just creating all kinds of creatures. The select cast, this is such a sparse list here, but Gary Graham as Achilles, Anne Marie Johnson as Athena, two rock stars. Playing Alexander, the villainous mustache twirling Russian, is Paul Kozlow. His check out his Wikipedia. He's a veteran actor of TV and film, as well as we have Michael Aldridge as Tex, another larger than life cartoon character, essentially.
Tex Cowboy.
Yeah, Tex is a cowboy.
Yeah.
And then we have Danny Kamikona as Doc Matsumoto.
I love Doc. I thought Doc was great.
Oh yeah.
Don't you? Yeah.
Yeah. Great character. Can I shout out one more cast member who's not on the list here?
Please.
Jeffrey Combs, who is so memorably over the top in Reanimator, just like one of the most bizarre performances I've ever seen, and is also in some other really good, maybe not very good, but like gives memorable performances in horror movies like The Frighteners, for example. Jeffrey Combs has like a very small bit part in this movie. He's like one of the two townspeople who's like cheering for Achilles,
he's one of the ones that dies?
I think he does die, yeah.
Okay.
He has probably like 2 lines in the entire movie. But I wanted to shout him out. He worked with Stuart Gordon a lot. He's amazing in Reanimator, so it was very cool to see him in this movie, albeit briefly.
And you know who else is in this movie very briefly? Stuart Gordon himself. He plays the bartender.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Bet.
Yeah.
Also, low key, if you ever watch Goof Troop, the person that voices Max, a young Jason Marsden is in Robot Jocks, and he's the kid that like is related.
Achilles is here.
Yes, there you go. Yes. Yes. So yeah.
This, I mean, I think a common theme with this movie, with tonight's conversation, is this movie is so much better than its release would have you believe. It was a bomb, but with the cast and the crew, like all the pieces are there, and obviously, I think we do all agree it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah,
but like, it just did not get the initial love it maybe should have gotten.
No, like by the time it came out, man, it was like I said, like with Empire Pictures closing, like you talked about, like that just literally killed the film, and then it's just at this point where you eventually have to put it out. You spent the money, but then it's like, okay, well, we don't really have an advertising budget. Okay, how many theaters can we actually get this into? How many theaters will actually be interested in buying it? Have we designed a new trailer for this film now that it's like almost 3 years late and people have already seen RoboCop?
Right.
Transformers is already out the door because Hasbro screwed that up. Because
and the Cold War is over.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
1987 when this was made, prime Cold War, Rocky 4, let's go.
Right.
But 1990, you're like, we won. It's over.
I'm just thankful that they didn't decide to, shelve it for a tax write-off.
I know, honestly.
Oh man, don't get me started on that bull.
I'm with you there, Shawn.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers release the Looney Tunes cartoon.
Oh,
no, they gave it to somebody else, I think, to do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple. There's the Catwoman movie that they shelved, but then there's Acme, Wile E. Coyote versus Acme.
Yeah, that's the one that's getting bought. That's the one. Yeah, I forget which distribution bought it, but they did purchase it.
It's whoever ended up putting out the latest Looney Tunes movie. I think The Day the Earth Blew Up or something like that.
Catch Up Entertainment.
That's it.
Yeah. So they're releasing Wile E. Coyote versus Acme. So, maybe one day we'll be able to see Batgirl one day, So
don't depress me on this. Come on.
Hey man, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. We was gonna go see Michael Keaton as Batman. He was supposed to like cameo in the film. They filmed it.
Oh my gosh.
So much work.
And Keaton also was supposed to be in the last Aquaman movie, and then they swapped him out. And so you had the Flash movie, which I still haven't watched because
don't.
It's like the whole Ezra Miller thing is just his antics, just completely like nah, I can't watch this. But but that's the only chance you get to see Michael Keaton as the Dark Knight again. And so it's like
it's tough being a fan sometimes of these properties, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, because
I'm still holding out for a new Transformers movie, but whatever.
Oh well, no, I'm not gonna get my Hasbro.
I'm holding out for that Godzilla Pacific Rim crossover.
Don't you start!
Hey, I'm still
the movie. We all want to see it.
You know what? I'm still waiting for Batman 66 versus Godzilla.
And
like Lorenzo Semple wrote the script, if I got the name correctly. The gentleman who wrote like many of the episodes of Batman and also wrote the Flash Gordon movie that came out in 1980. He wrote the script. It exists. And just things fell apart and it didn't happen. And I'm like, you mean to tell me y'all had the script in the vaults for this damn long and y'all didn't even make an animated movie besides the fact that sorry, I'm going to get nope, stop. All
right. We'll get back on track. Robot Jocks,
yes.
Crash and burn, baby. So yeah, we talked a lot about Haldeman and Gordon already. They had tried to collaborate before. They had differing visions. Honestly, two sides of the same coin, I think. Principal photography began in Rome in 1987. David W. Allen filmed his stop motion in California. Now, what I will point out is Haldeman has a pretty great quote that I wanted to read. He said, quote, "I would try to change the science into something reasonable. Stewart would change it back to Saturday morning cartoon stuff. I tried to make believable, reasonable characters, and Stewart would insist on throwing in cliches and caricatures. It was especially annoying because it was a story about soldiers, and I was the only person around who'd ever been one." Matt, you alluded to that earlier.
Mm-hmm. Here's the problem with that. My personal opinion. Here's the problem with that.
Yeah.
There really aren't any soldiers in this movie. There are, because they're robot jocks. They aren't soldiers. The robots are the dang gone soldiers, if you really think about it.
Mm-hmm.
All the the pilots. Yeah, the pilots do the thing and they control the mech and whatnot, but they're not soldiers really. You know what I mean? Like this isn't like because with Gundam, like Gundam has actual soldiers, okay?
Kid soldiers.
Kids soldiers at that. Yes, thank you. And so like there's a feeling of war and military and things like that in the balance. Here there isn't military. This is sport. This is combat sport to acquire and procure goods and needs in countries and states. Like so like it's war, but it's not war in the sense that Haldeman envisions war because he served in Vietnam. Gordon is like, no, this is just all fantasy. This is all fantasy. And, you know, we don't need to like make these like intricate metaphors and similes. Just keep it simple. Less is more. Like in this, and that's the whole movie. Less is more. The entire time. They blow through that story fast. That movie's an hour and 24 minutes long. You do not have enough time to explain anything in this movie. You just go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, Shawn. Even though I said before that I wanted to see the Haldeman version that's like a little bit grittier and like actually about soldiers, I don't think it would work with this story and like these characters. It would not work. So I agree with that. And I don't know if you guys felt this way too, but I thought of many other movies while I was watching Robot Jocks, which is not a knock against Robot Jocks at all. But one of the movies I thought of was Starship Troopers, which I think also has this weird blend of like, it's like a satire of militarism and fascism, but it's also like so silly. It's like it is kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon a little bit. And Starship Troopers goes a lot further in terms of like blood and guts and violence and gore and like the satire behind it all. But I feel like both movies have like this weird combination of like a very adult sort of like subversive, you know, the soldier militaristic aspect, and then like kind of like a comic book vibe, you know. I don't know if any of the rest of you felt that way, but Starship Troopers is definitely one of the movies I thought of while I was watching this.
I mean, it also helps that one of the lines is practically the same. It's "We're doing our part."
Yeah, totally. Yep. Exactly.
So it had its main release in November of 1990, peaking at 13 at the box office, but it technically premiered in Spain in October of 89. So, for what it's worth. Regardless, it was years after production wrapped on this film, which we stated did not do it any favors. So, the film was met with generally negative reviews, but there were two, I say, sequel in name only films from Charles Band. So, for example, Crash and Burn is a film from 1990. It is on Tubi. I did watch it last night. Not the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's not the worst. Okay. All right.
Listeners, Robot Jocks is the Godfather compared to
Wow.
Robot Wars. I don't know. Is that a hot take?
No. You've just told me don't mess with it, so I appreciate
it. Yeah.
Don't mess with Robot Wars. Okay. Crash and Burn, if you have an hour and a half, you have nothing else to watch. But Robot Wars felt like, and this is not a knock, but like a sci-fi original movie from the early 2000s. It was just kind of like, I see what you're doing, but it's not altogether there.
So after watching this the other day, I ended up purchasing a dual pack DVD of both Crash and Burn and Robot Wars.
Amazing. I own Robot Wars. Remember, yes. I have that. I don't own Robot Jocks.
But you know what's really funny? You can actually watch Robot Wars on YouTube for free. Somebody uploaded the entire movie on there.
There you go.
And nobody's copyright striking that film.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah,
which is weird because Robot Jocks you can't actually find on YouTube, but you can get on Amazon Prime, you can get on Pluto TV and Tubi. It's just like, what in the world?
Yeah. But the DVD or the Blu-ray is out of print, so it would seem. At least from Dream Factory.
Yep. Oh, I was so happy I got my copy.
Yeah, it goes for like $90 on Amazon. Why?
I'm not getting into that. No,
there are so many special features that I want.
There is a commentary with Stuart Gordon on there. I almost rewatched it just to listen to that.
That's almost worth it for me. Right. Take my money.
I'm seriously considering spending $90 to get that on Blu-ray. Like, which is I'm embarrassed to admit that, but I thought about it for a second. So I don't think I'm going to, but we'll see.
I can tell you guys once we're done with recording on what I plan on doing with it. So,
Wow. All right.
Can't wait.
You just really love Robot Jocks.
You have no idea.
Okay. I might have an idea.
Here's an idea. No, I'm kidding.
Oh man, I really wish I'd have known that Robot Jocks made it to Blu-ray in 2023. Crap.
Arrow Video has Robot Jocks within a bigger collection of Empire movies.
Screams.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I might that's the one I might spring for, because then you're going to get some other Stuart Gordon Empire pictures as well.
Yep, I'm looking right now. Robot Jocks. It's got archive audio commentary with director Stuart Gordon. Archive audio commentary with associate effects director Paul Gentry, mechanical effects artist Mark Rappaport, and stop motion animator Paul Jessel. Crash and Burn, an interview with actor Gary Graham. Her name is Athena. An interview with Anne-Marie Johnson.
I want this so bad.
I paid $70 for this box set just for one movie.
We'll all pool our resources to get it for the entire team. It's not a bad idea.
Be like that episode of The Simpsons where they pulled their money for their Radioactive Man comic. It's like, okay, who's going to get it first?
Yeah. That would be the only bad part. Yeah.
Yes.
Trading it among each other.
Hey,
So
almost
now I
worth
have to
it.
ask, what's the most that you guys spent on any kind of a DVD media? I'll go first if you don't mind. I spent $400 on an anime that's only 13 episodes long, and it's a mecha anime called Duel: Parallel Trouble Adventure. And I bought it. It came in pristine condition. It's like old school Genion packaging, and it's a giant bubble box basically. And a month later, they announced it as a re-release on Blu-ray for $40.
Oh man. But you have like the fan pride, you know, like you can be proud of yourself for like dishing out that much money for that.
I did at first, and then once it got re-released, I'm like, you know what? I feel like ripping it in half, but I didn't. It's still on my shelf.
Good. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
I think for me, it was, I bought, because like they were out of print, and it was something that was on either Sentai Filmworks or another anime website. But like Gatchaman, aka G-Force Battle of the Planets here in the States.
I have it in my shelf.
Like Gatchaman, the first series is all on Blu-ray, which is great. But there were sequel series in Japan. I think like one of them was called like Gatchaman Fighter, Gatchaman F, and like Gatchaman 2, I believe. So like I bought those box sets. I paid like, for the bundle, I paid like $125. But like there's a ton of episodes. So really in the sense of it all, it wasn't that much money. But still at the same time, this is before PayPal and 4 existed. This is before existed and Afterpay. So I'm like, I can spread this out. Instead it was like, well, I guess I'm not eating for a week.
Yeah. That's so real. I haven't spent that much. I've asked for such things for like my birthday or Christmas. So I'm grateful for that. But I'm thinking just recently I spent 35. Okay, so on Etsy, there's a guy who does custom artwork for DVD or for Blu-ray cases. And I had just years ago got rid of a bunch of cases. I kept my discs of like The Thing from Another World and Them, for instance. So I saw this guy on Etsy and I was like, oh, I want a custom sleeve for these 50 sci-fi movies. So it was $35. I'm like, I can't wait to see what he comes up with though. And now I can put it on my shelf where it belongs and it'll look pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. The first one that comes to mind for me is a pretty recent purchase. This also will probably make me sound like a huge film nerd, as all of us are, but there's a director I really love, Louis Foyad, who made a lot of like silent French crime serials in the 1910s, like La Vampire, Fantomas, Judex. Just like crazy surreal stories of like criminal gangs in Paris and like cops and like journalists that track them down. And he has a serial called T-Min from 1918 that has always been like really hard to find in the United States. And Gaumont, the French company, just put out a Blu-ray box set. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to buy the French Blu-ray box set. I'm going to watch this 8-hour-long silent serial, and it's going to be great. And it was. It was awesome.
That's awesome. Oh, man.
I'm so happy for all of you. That's good stuff.
I'm still not as happy. I mean, that was a lot of money, but
well,
you're a true fan.
Yes.
All right, let's get into our sponsor break, and then we can start talking about the good, the bad, and the campy with Robot Jocks. So, Camp Kaiju is sponsored by Zach Lindner, the Zach Pack, powered by Coldwell Banker Realty, your source for real estate, home rehab, fixing and flipping for investor clients and residential buyers. Reach out to the Zach Pack today for real estate services. Follow the Zach Pack on social media and contact the Zach Pack for investment opportunities. Link in the show notes. I've been saving this email we have for Minia's mailbox for this episode. So, John, you emailed Camp Kaiju with a whole host of recommendations related to Charles Band and Empire Pictures. And this was even before I think we really started talking about Robot Jocks. So, way to go, John, for being ahead of the curve. But here's what John shouted out. Robo Warriors from 1996, Crash and Burn, the making of Crash and Burn, and John sent me the links to all these. Robot Wars, the making of Robot Wars. John says Charles Band also tried kaiju films with full moon features, so we have movies like Zarkor the Invader, the Fra, the Sea Monster. Just, I love the titles. Even if I know nothing about it, I know that I want to see these movies based on the titles.
Zarkor is in Kaiju Unleashed.
Oh, yeah?
That's a fact. Zarkor the Invader is in Kaiju Unleashed, and that story makes zero sense.
You mean this Kaiju Unleashed right here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just right there.
Nice.
No. This Kaiju Unleashed right here.
Hey, how'd you get my copy?
Are we in the same room?
Oh my goodness.
Man, I don't need some dimension hopping, all right?
Everyone get your own copy of Kaiju Unleashed. Link in the show notes.
Welcome to Poverty Row Studios, on the other side of Hollywood, where the stars were dimmer and the red carpets dripped with blood. Together we will watch the best of the worst, movies known for their limited budgets, outlandish concepts, and questionable performances. But with enough haunted houses, zombies, ape-men, and devil bats to keep you up at night. This is the Poverty Row Picture Show. I dare you to sleep through these nightmares. I am Peter Lorre. You may remember me from such films as Arsenic and Old Lace and The Face Behind the Mask. This week on the Poverty Row Picture Show, we will bring you another Bela Lugosi outing from Monogram entitled Bowery at Midnight, starring Lugosi and that zany cast of delinquents. Whoa. Let me check my notes here. Believe it or not, but Bowery at Midnight does not feature the Bowery Boys. In fact, well, yes, it features an equally grown-worthy pack of the undead. That is right. Zombies, ladies and gentlemen. We have another zombie movie, but before you get too excited about the 61-minute film, note that these flesh-eating ghouls are saved for literally the final 2 minutes of screen time. Nevertheless, there may be some sadomasochist pleasure to derive from the rest of the film. So let me tell you about Bela Lugosi cutting a devilish figure playing two parts. That of a nice guy professor by day and his evil alter ego by night. It is this character, named Carl Wagner, who runs a criminal enterprise from a soup kitchen in the slums with more secret passageways than an escape room from hell. Dwelling in the cellar of this hideout is a drug-addicted, maniacal doctor who, unbeknownst to Wagner, has been turning the victims of gangland into undead fiends. In the end, with the police closing in, it is Wagner who becomes the final victim of these zombies. It is a juicy ending to an otherwise bland outing. Fans of Lugosi will no doubt relish the performance, but even for a monogram picture, Bowery at Midnight struggles to make sense of characters, relationships, or plot points. Now, if none of these things matter to you, Bowery at Midnight may be a guilty pleasure. In one scene, there is an Easter egg, a film poster for The Corpse Vanishes that can be seen hanging in the background. All this does is remind you that you might rather be watching that cinematic car crash. It does feature a deadly botanical plot device, an orchid. But never mind Matthew and Vincent, never mind what they have been telling you. My own pleasant plant pet has been nothing but kind. Oh, she may be a little protective now and then. What good pet isn't? Isn't that right, Lila? Yes. You just be you. Spread your roots as wide as you please. Matthew, he is only jealous of your companionship. Anyway, next time on the Poverty Row Picture Show, we will discuss our second George Zuko picture, a film entitled Dead Men Walk from PRC. By George, dead men will walk if they ever come near you, Lilac, with trimming on their minds.
This summer, our world will come under attack.
The mayor has declared a state of emergency
By the most evil force ever known. He has armies at his command, and only one power on Earth can stop him. Welcome to my nightmare. Now, the ultimate adventure begins.
Hi, honey. I'm home.
You garlic-sucking dingo brain!
We're the Power Rangers. Ooh, where's my autograph book?
More action. More adventure. More power.
The ooze is back. Use, you lose.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
14 years after the One-Tier War, Zeon forces yearn for redemption. Char, the leader of this rabble, has hatched a plan.
We will discipline the people who continue to live on Earth and eliminate the source of any wars in our sphere.
Under the guise of surrender, Zeon will make their final assault.
What are they up to? Char.
What are you thinking? Deeming Earthlings so vile a creature, Char schemes to save the planet by destroying the people.
The Earth cannot go on like this any longer.
No one has a right to behave that way.
Only the Rondo Bell, Armor Ray, and his Gundam stand in their way. Mobile Suit Gundam, Char's Counterattack. Saturday, January 4th at 11 p.m. An Adult Swim exclusive. Revenge is a dish best served.
Was the other title that you said Craw? C-R-A-W?
K-R-A-A exclamation point.
Oh,
Cray.
Cray.
I don't know if that's better or worse than Craw. I love it either way, though. That's an awesome title.
Or is it Krenergizer? Because, AA batteries.
Could be that. Could be.
Only Charles Band knows.
Yeah.
There's also, John also shared an anime short. I want to know if you guys have heard of it. Dragon's Heaven.
No.
No, but that does sound familiar.
Okay. It's from 1988.
There's a lot of cyberpunk mech stuff for anime back in the day. A lot of it you can actually find on YouTube for free because their licenses expired so long ago. One of the things that we talk about on our show is that there's a lot of stuff that you don't really have access to unless you can acquire it or if they put it on YouTube because licensing it's just a giant cluster. There's a lot of stuff that you just won't be able to get legally anymore.
YouTube has a lot of good stuff. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like I should be paying money for this and it should go to the distributor. But, if the rights lapsed, there's a lot of good stuff on YouTube. It's a treasure trove, obviously.
I think it's amazing. Like, YouTube is pretty much everybody's go-to place. Like, folks that are like internet savvy, like, or like YouTube is also on your television, so a lot of people are watching it there. Not to mention they have their own cable service essentially too. So like it has everything good and a lot of bad, but, but still it's like, it's the go-to place
for sure. Do you all take advantage of the Internet Archive?
Not yet, but I hear it's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I always just see if something's on there. I actually streamed Robot Jocks on the Internet Archive, and it was on there. I had to dig a little bit. I had to get past a French dub version because, like, it's crowdsourced from the world. So somebody uploaded a French dub, and I was like, that's not the one I want. So I kept digging, and then I found the one I wanted.
Did you watch any of the French dub? I have to ask.
I just skipped through it, but I don't speak French.
I just want to know how he says Achilles. Does he go, oh, Achilles?
Oh, that's good. I'm gonna have to find out.
I would watch it only for that reason. Yeah,
Achilles.
Yeah, some things would translate. Alexander he transcends language. He's great.
True.
All right, guys. So this is the breakdown of our show now. We'll talk about the good, the bad, and the campy. We'll just go around and we'll start with the good. Just share what you really like about this movie, what stands out for you. And we'll go from there. So anyone really dying to start?
Oh, yeah. The stop motion is fantastic. It's by far the visuals are just something that you can look at and be like, I'm going to sit down for a second. I don't want to actually go anywhere. This is something that needs to stay on my TV and burned into my retinas. So absolutely, just visually, it's I wouldn't say a masterpiece, but it's damn near close. That's really the best thing that I can say.
I will say that the chemistry between Gary Graham and Anne-Marie Johnson as Achilles and Athena is great. And they're not really on screen together that much if you really think about it. An hour and 24-minute movie. Like, and you're dealing with a limited amount of time in a very simplistic form of storytelling, but like they really do find a way to give Athena a full storyline, even though it feels incomplete. Because when she apologizes for taking the mech and kisses Achilles, you're like, okay, y'all was just fighting like about an hour ago. So, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know where this relationship is going, but like, it's clear both of y'all got something for each other. So we just gonna let this slide. But like, it does beautiful things with little to no money. And the thing is, this entire film, like watching the entire film, I was like, man, this is so cool. Like I was so pulled in. And the only time I felt like, oh man, this is cheap is when they cut to the bar. Like when they first cut to the bar, like I'm not saying that it needs to be Star Wars Cantina. Okay. I'm not saying that. It's just that like the whole film is so sci-fi and so like the way it's filmed, the way it's shot, the way it looks, it has that look and feel until you get to the bar. And when you get to the bar, that could be a bar anywhere in the current United States of America.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah.
Like the only thing is missing is an Applebee's sign.
Dang.
But everything else is gorgeous. I still like Doc's one of my favorite characters. Like the fact that he talks about how like people like, steal information and basically like sign stealing, like baseball term, stealing like advantages to like combat against other weaponry and stuff like that. Like it's great. Like, and like Doc kind of, once again, because of the limitations of the story, Doc is also kind of like a father figure to Achilles in a lot of ways, but it's real subdued.
Mm-hmm.
Because people think Tex is the father figure. No, Tex is just the asshole. Like Tex is the walking embodiment of like every 80s misogynistic male, low-key racist dude. Like he would legitimately, if he was in the Married with Children universe, he would legitimately be a member of No Ma'am.
Yep.
So like, but like he's perfect. Like he's perfect for the role. Like everybody is perfect for their role in this movie. Like and the thing is, maybe it only being an hour and 24 minutes, maybe it helps the film. So like I'm so caught up in it and I'm like, well, why can't I have more?
Mm-hmm.
But like it cuts itself off at the right time, and so like I'm good with it.
Totally. I love I love the style. Like you watch this movie, if you don't understand that it is striving for a style, a pastiche, it's not cliche, it's homage. Like it knows what it's doing. And if you don't understand that, this movie's gonna go over your head actually. But if you're locked into it, if you grew up watching Saturday morning cartoons, you're gonna be like, oh, I know what I'm watching. It just happens to be live action.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the characters are larger than life, but they're so grounded in the performances, like Tex and Doc and Alexander. I mean, these guys are cartoon characters in the flesh. But again, they're treated with respect and sincerity. Nobody's making fun of themselves, which is excellent. Yeah, the direction is so, the movie's so tight in its choices that it's making. And Stuart Gordon, he adds little things all over the place that will go over your head. But if you watch this movie more than once, you'll start noticing new things every time. And wow, when a movie does that, that's just something you can easily go back to. Like this time, I noticed that Achilles, when he's naked in bed and Athena's walked in on him, he takes his towel or his bed sheet and he slings it over him like a toga. And I'm like, oh, because you're Achilles. This is so subtle, but it's so perfect at the same time.
Don't forget the foot injury of the actual mech.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
I love that my mind is blown. Robot Jocks has blown my mind. So Stuart Gordon, the man knows how to make a good movie. A tight movie, whatever. But I love all that. I love the world building in this movie too. And I'm going to credit him and Haldeman too in crafting a world where Shawn Childers, you mentioned this earlier. Like, yeah, there's like things with the in the background, that this future world is dealing with severe population decline, which is why they're creating people in quote, test tubes, and
they're doing their part.
They're doing their part. But like the movie never harps on it. But if you look in the background, there are propaganda posters and there's the world is fleshed out, even if it's not spoken deliberately on screen. And I just appreciate that kind of world building. So I fell into that world. The martial arts is awesome. Got some
sorry.
Some great maybe campy stunts and fight choreo. The humor's there. I love the anime influences. All right, I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, totally agree with all you guys. I feel like there's not too much else to say in the good category, but yeah, I'll just sum it up by saying this is such an entertaining movie. As Shawn, one of the two Shawn said, it's an hour and 25 minutes and that's perfect. It probably sounds a little obvious to say this is an entertaining movie, but I feel like that should not be dismissed. That's like the entire point of it, basically. It really is like a Saturday morning cartoon, like comic book style, and that is not in any way a criticism of the movie. It's, just personally, when I watched it last night, didn't have the best day, and I was like, oh, I gotta watch this movie for Camp Kaiju. And for an hour and a half, you're like, I don't care about anything else. I'm in this world. It's so fun. It's so beautiful. The characters, like you said, Vincent, are larger than life. There's a lot of humor. Yeah, it's like entertainment is a divine thing, and this movie offers a ton of it. It's great.
Love that. Is there anything we don't like about this movie?
The only thing. Sorry, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. Go.
Okay, the only thing I don't like about this movie is the fact that Empire Pictures fell apart, so it couldn't come out in its specific year. Like, that's really the only truly bad thing. That and the doctor that made all the Tubies. I understand the reason why they put her in the movie, but does she really need to be in the movie?
No.
Right. Yeah.
Not to the extent that she is in the movie.
Like, that would be my bad. Like, that would be the bad. Like, that's it. And it's not saying that she did a bad job. It's just that the character's not needed because the Tubies explain themselves.
Right. I got a sense that this doctor is sort of like a mother figure to Athena, but the movie doesn't go into that. It doesn't have the time. It doesn't have the budget to go into that dynamic. So, lose it or keep it. But yeah, it didn't bother me, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, for sure.
So that is along the lines of what I was going to say, where basically there wasn't enough time in the movie. So all the world building that is there, it just doesn't feel completely fleshed out. Because again, there's a lot about it that just seems to be going against itself. Like, you got this, but it kind of contradicts it like partway through. And it's like, I'm not sure if I understand that. And then you got the random scene with the Death Jungle Gym, which is what I'm going to call it.
What else?
Love it.
It's just like, why? just why? There's no other question. Just why? That's the only real bad for it, because everything else I think can be pushed towards the campy category.
I would just agree that maybe like it could use a little more world building. There are themes in this movie, as we've talked about, that are like subtly alluded to, and I feel like maybe they could be a little bit more substantial. I think like I do understand, like, contradicting myself a little bit. I love how just like fun and fast and like quick pace this movie is, but like the Tubies, especially the test tube people, it's like this is a world where like soldiers, even if they're fighting in mechs, are like, bred for the specific purpose of like conducting warfare on behalf of their nations. And that's a pretty fascinating idea. Like, I would love to know more about this world. Maybe some of the like conflicts, we get that a little bit with Achilles, but maybe not all that much. And he's not a test tube baby or whatever. So yeah, that aspect of the world could have used a little bit more substance, I think. And I have to say, like, it's a fine line between cliche and homage. Sorry, Vincent, I agree with everything you said, but like, it is a fine line to me. And it's like, sometimes it's like, this movie's trying to throw all the cliches. It's trying to fit them all in this movie. And like, it is entertaining. Like, it's fun, but it's like, maybe a little more, like, there's originality in the visual style, maybe not so much in the story and the characters. That's maybe both a good and a bad thing, but that's what I would say for my bad category.
For sure. I like the way I don't like how, or I would prefer if Athena had a little bit more to do with the final fight. The fact that she gets rescued by Achilles at the end just kind of defeats the entire character arc she's had this entire movie, where she's a strong, independent woman with agency, and she proves herself more than capable than anyone else. Sure, she's a little impetuous, but who isn't? But then it just kind of fizzles at the end when she gets knocked on her butt and gets saved by the man. I'm like, well, okay, it was nice knowing you, Athena.
All right, there should have been an actual separate fight with her, a little bit longer, and then have him show up to where he can do his fight.
I think so. I think they could have earned that a little bit more. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping it would be a 2-on-1 fight, but maybe the movie didn't have the budget for that.
No, that's Pacific Rim.
Right. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, like a good way to like kind of fix that is that, say, for instance, if Achilles does rescue, like, quote unquote, rescue Athena, pull her out of the mech, and he pilots the mech, and then they, like, and instead of it ending with the fist bump, and whatnot, it could do the fist bump, and then it crossfades, and there's a gym, and we just do straight up like the Rocky 3 ending.
Yeah.
With like Rocky and Apollo. You want to ring the bell? Ding, ding. We can do that with Athena and Achilles because they got a relationship. It's all perfectly evident, but they still want to fight to see who's the best. And like, if you ended it that way, I think that would clear up like a couple of things.
Dude, you need to write that.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. I just might.
That's it. That would have been such a feel-good ending. Oh, what could have been the sequel we never had.
Speaking of, did you see what he had originally planned to do as a sequel to this movie?
Oh, remind me, what was it?
It would have been Achilles and Alexander in their robots versus aliens.
What?
Oh.
Pacific Rim.
That's Pacific Rim.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
But I like. I mean, Pacific Rim is not a sequel, but it's again. How many movies do we have of this kind of people in giant mechs fighting each other? There's not many that I know of, or at least not many to this level.
No, at least not in the live action sense.
In the live action sense, exactly. So yeah, I was also gonna say the sequence where Achilles flies off into space.
Okay.
I love that idea, but you didn't do anything with it. You just kind of flew around the Earth and then landed back, and I was like,
in the same exact spot,
which was hilarious. But that's where I saw a budget limitation. Where I was like, if this movie had been given more money, we would have a dogfight in space. Like we would have something truly memorable. But as it stands, it's just kind of a throwaway sequence, which just leaves me wanting more.
Yes.
The original Power Rangers movie had a space sequence. It was a lot shorter, but at least they kicked somebody. They kicked somebody away.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
I like that Power Rangers movie more than I expected to. We've covered that on the podcast in the past. That movie's pretty cool.
It's a fun movie. Turbo, not so much. That movie's a giant sex joke, but I'll discuss that later.
Oh, the first Power Rangers movie is very. It's really got like a lot of toku behind, not for like the Power Ranger parts, but like the non-Power Ranger parts when they're just the teenagers. It does like a lot of very like Japanese toku stuff, which I didn't expect them to do, and so it flows pretty well. Ivan Ooze was a perfect villain, and and it does like a lot of good things. Still has its flaws, still has its problems, but I adore that movie so much, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah, it's a guilty pleasure of mine. So, well, okay, now the campy.
Everything. Just everything.
Every damn thing. Every single damn thing on that screen from beginning to end, especially and the man. Oh my god. Yeah, everything.
Yep.
Everything. Yeah. How many times can I talk about Alexander? I just want to shout out, like, he has so many memorable lines. I'm going to put those lines into this episode. But my favorite is one of the tubies challenges Alexander at a bar.
You touch me.
All right, Shawn Childers, I want you to say the line as Alexander. I will make your death interesting.
I will make your death interesting.
It's so good.
Nice.
And Achilles says to Alexander, "You're making my beer curdle." And Alexander says, You make my drink taste like blood." Like, what does that even mean? It's amazing.
Yeah, everything. Just no, what can we talk about Tex, just offing himself?
Man, the way he took that jump, like if they'd have put that goofy scream at the end of it, Yahoo! If they put that on it, perfect. But yeah, He just jumped. He was like, well, I guess it's time to die.
You know what makes that scene for me, though?
What's that?
So you hear the thud, and not only do you hear the thud, you see Gary Graham and this other random dude just stare at each other for a second like, okay.
That other random dude is amazing. All of his facial expressions are like marvelous. Like I could not take my eyes off of him whenever he was on screen. I love that extra, whoever he is.
It was great.
Yeah, janitor number 3. He got his SAG card with that moment. I tell you what.
That leads me to mention, can I say one specific thing that was like the campiest and like most amusing to me, in addition to Alexander? Like all the reaction shots in this movie, particularly by the woman doctor that we talked about before, but also this other guy who's like an older, kind of benevolent, like military commander or something. There's so many cutaway reaction shots where like there's a mech fight going on, and then it cuts to one of those two, and like they just give so many amazing facial expressions. Like I can imagine Stuart Gordon with those actors for hours on set being like, all right, give me scared, give me concerned, give me titillated, and like just how amazing those like shooting days must have been. It's so fun to watch those. I love it.
Can we talk about the pilot suits real quick?
Yeah.
They just looked like brake pads and all the other kind of different things that you'd see on a roller derby.
Yeah. Very shiny. Very... Achilles puts a suit on. It's not one of the shiny suits, but he puts his pilot like suit on without underwear. And I just happened to be like, oh, all right, we're freeballing it. That's cool.
Yep.
He would.
He does not care.
I do like the Achilles helmet, though. I do like that helmet. I thought that helmet was...
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, again, the production design of all of these elements are incredible.
I wrote in the notes, the only finality is death unless you choose to change the path that ends the cycle of violence. And for like Alexander, that whole thing is, I gotta kill you. I gotta kill you. I gotta kill you. Like that's his whole MO. It's just like I not only like it's not just about me winning, it's to also kill you to ensure that you will never beat me. All I know is death. All I know is how to serve death. So then when you actually get to the part where like their mechs are both destroyed, and like Alexander's like, oh no, I'm still gonna kill you. Where's this pole at? And then still fighting, and then like finally it clicks in, into Achilles' head. He's like, yo, man, we can both live,
Yeah.
Like I mean, if not, I will beat your ass. But we can both live, and then they both agree to it, and then they fist bump. And I'm like, credits. That's it. Yeah. And I'm like, we could resolve this like an hour ago.
Yeah, but that's true. That was something I wrote down. Just like they are willing by the end, and certainly Achilles, to disobey their superior officers.
Yes.
And that takes guts. I mean, it's not realistic, unfortunately, because sometimes maybe the better choice is to disobey because, hey, we're going to live.
Yeah.
So I like that idea. And maybe that's Haldeman's influence. Soldier, Vietnam. I mean, so I think if there's some, I mean, I don't know. Stuart Gordon is also a very savvy filmmaker, writer, but maybe if there's any deeper themes, maybe that's Haldeman's influence about classism, about, the prejudice, about test tube babies versus the other people. And like, there's a lot of divisive character relationships between the elites, the fighters, and then, the poor people, the bleacher bums who are just in rags. And it's just, there's this a very stratified society here.
And sign waivers that say, like, if you die, it's not our fault.
Yeah.
Which is
they
so
don't care
realistic.
about them.
Yeah. I do think it's realistic. I'm not saying that sarcastically. Like, I think, like attendees at like NASCAR races have to do the same thing. And like, I thought like the scene where everybody, like so many people are killed in the bleachers during the robot fight is a fascinating scene. Like, we don't know much about this world, but like the little bit that we do know, I absolutely believe that like those bleachers would be set up there and there would be like kind of a protective covering, but it does no good whatsoever. And like, of course, like the government is like, yeah, well, they got what they deserve. Like all of that seemed totally believable to me,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Feel free to interject with anything else, but let's go around, give it our final rating, Matt.
Yeah, as always at the end of Camp Kaiju, we give the film a rating. Our highest rating is it's a timeless classic. It definitely stands the test of time. Our second rating is there may be some antiquated moments, but overall it's great. It stands the test of time. Our third rating, it may be historically significant or just fun, but it does not stand the test of time. And our lowest rating, it is not worth revisiting. It definitely does not stand the test of time. Should I start it off?
Sure.
Okay. So for me, I'm going to give this our second highest rating. Maybe there aren't antiquated moments. There are certainly a lot of campy moments, which is not a criticism, as we talked about before. Maybe I would have liked to see a little bit more originality, a little more world building, but this movie is awesome. It's just, I'm not going to curse. This is a family friendly podcast, but it is just effing awesome. It looks great. It's so entertaining. I again didn't know really anything about this movie, and I had a wonderful time watching it. So for me, there are some moments that are not as great as they could have been, but overall, it's great. It stands the test of time.
Great. Anyone want to piggyback off that?
I also agree with Matt. I feel the exact same way. You know, like the only like thing that's kind of antiquated is the misogyny. The misogyny is important to the film because Athena is that's used for Athena to overcome that, but then her agency gets taken away by the end of the movie. She doesn't get to finish the fight.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, like I said, with the exception of like maybe 2 or 3 small special effect shots that didn't really look that good, everything else is amazing. Like this is a fun and great movie. Like I can't recommend it enough. Like there's something about like as I said before, less is more. Simple storytelling that can really push the story really far. And it leaves you asking questions in the best way and like thinking about how would this move forward? You know, and like I love films that do that. I do. Not everything doesn't have to be Oppenheimer, okay? You know, like it's so like it keeps it simple, and I'm with it. And yeah, it definitely it's great, and overall it stands the test of time for me.
Fantastic.
Wow.
What do you think, Shawn Childers?
Years ago, when I was a wee lad, this is a movie that I used to watch many, many times as a little tyke growing up. But beyond that, now we're going to go into the American part. I haven't watched it since I was a kid. So a lot of it's held up in nostalgia for me. Rewatching it recently, there were, like you guys mentioned, a lot of moments where it's like, okay, yeah, this is camp, which is awesome because, you know, I thrive on camp. Just look at Rubber. But then, as Shawn mentioned, there's the misogyny aspect, which that kind of struck me as a point where I'm like, and yeah, she's a tough person. She does things on her own, but then it also does get taken away throughout multiple moments towards the end there. Despite all that, though, I still really enjoy this movie. I think it's something that I will continue to watch relentlessly, and then probably circulate it with my my yearly or annual Pacific Rim watches. So I rate it the second highest brand of hot dog stew.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, I think you are all so correct with the portrayal of Athena there, especially at the end of the movie. But I'm right in line with you all. I think this movie's a classic, not only of its genre, because there are so few other examples, but of like science fiction, of a B movie. Just it's a simple story told exceptionally well, and all the talent cared so much about getting it right. And they do. And I've seen it a couple times. I'm going to keep watching it, and I bet I'm going to see new things every time I rewatch it. I got to be looking out for Achilles' foot wound, for example. And what else is at play? So I love it. Matt, I'm happy to share. I'm so glad you liked it because I love preaching the gospel of robot jocks and Stuart Gordon and all these dudes. So wonderful, wonderful movie. Wonderful conversation. Thank you, Shawn and Shawn. Truly, if you want to plug anything that you're working on that you want folks to check out, feel free to take a couple minutes to do that.
Alexander, you have the floor, sir.
You will see the brand new podcast, season 2, coming soon, of Big Mecha But Not Huge. Okay, I am done.
How could you top that?
No, I don't know if I don't know if I could top that. No, I can't.
I feel bad for any of my neighbors because I live in really like thin walls. So.
They're excited about your podcast now, though.
No, they're not.
Well, you can find me on the internet. I'm on Blue Sky under Shawn, Shawn R Pryor, like Richard Pryor. Shawn R Pryor on Blue Sky, the Shawn P Show on Instagram, and those are like really the two main social media places that like I make posts now. I also have a website. If you want to see like over 50 books that I've written, you can go to ShawnPryor.com, and there's a section that shows you every single book I've written, whether it's a graphic novel, a chapter book, a kids book, a historical graphic novel, books about a book about Godzilla films and all the things that spawned after it. You name it, it's on that site, and you can find out where to get my books and such. Yeah, like then, and also like any bookstore, any bookstore website, like bookshop.org or wherever you go to get your books, you can just type my name, and hopefully there's only one Shawn Pryor, and you can see like all the books I've written there too.
That's awesome. Thank you. And I'll put links to your stuff and Big Mecha Not Huge, the podcast, as well in our show notes. So
thank you.
Thank you both. Please have a good rest of your night. I appreciate your time so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Really.
No, this was a blast. Like anytime I'm able to be on this show, like it changes like my whole demeanor. Like I could be having the worst day possible, and since watching this last night on Pluto to now, I have just been happy. So no, you guys are great, and I love what you do, and just keep up the great work, and I appreciate you.
I feel the same because I was at work today, and I wanted to slack off the entire time because I'm like, I really just want to record as soon as possible because it's just being able to talk mecha is always fun, but being able to talk mecha with people who actually enjoy it too, that's even better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really looking forward to this. So thank you.
Oh, well, thanks, guys. That means a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much. And let me just say I can relate. Like all day at work today, I was like, not having the best work day. Cannot wait to go home and talk about Robot Jocks. So, I can relate. And thank you so much. This has been an awesome conversation.
Yeah. All right. Until next time.
Bye! Killers! I have already killed you right here.